The year is still 2018. We left the first half of the year with half the Avengers being erased, Logan Paul realizing that he shouldn't have visited Japan, there was a massive awareness of Burger King foot lettuce, and I'm still a Dragon Ball fan. Yes, we are continuing on where we left off with part 1. The playlist from the beginning of 2010 up to the first half of 2018 is available on the top right hand corner. Now let's continue from where we were last time. As we move on, we got the second episode of Super Dragon Ball Heroes. This is where most of us got our first look at Berserk Goku, Cumber, aka Broly from Timu, Golden Cooler, and the return of Super Saiyan Blue Vegito. And I want to say at this point, this is where most of us came to the conclusion that this series is going to be filled with hype moments and aura and less about the plot. In this moment in time, we got an official Dragon Ball event, which is the 2018 North American World Tour, starting from July to December, showcasing a range of Bandai Namco stuff at different conventions. And they even had Super Dragon Ball Heroes arcade machines that were translated into English, which I want to say is a test for Bandai Namco to truly see how much fans really wanted this game franchise to come over to the West. And without spoiling the rest of the video, I'm just gonna say it might have been positive. Currently at this point it is Comic-Con, and we got the first trailer for Dragon Ball Super Broly, and we see that he's going to fight Goku, Vegeta, and even Frieza. There's also our first proper look at Paragus with his Buzz Lightyear attire, a tease of Broly's Super Saiyan form in the end, and a lot of us pointed out the little moment with a baby inside a pod, and a lot of us recognized that from the Dragon Ball minus manga story, which made us question whether they're gonna adapt that into animation, and also made us reflect on those movie re-releases. So are we gonna expect Gogeta to appear too? And on the 20th, we got Goku and Vegeta reading Yelp reviews.
Got sick from their fish tacos! Enough said on that. Otherwise, the location is convenient if you're on the Baywalk in San Diego.
On July's Dragon Ball Super chapter, we see that Vegeta uses a spirit sword to get himself back into the tournament, so now we know where Vegito got the move from. Kale is still berserked, and she's taking out her anger on pretty much a lot of people, even those who had standout moments in the anime, and thus universes 3, 4, and 10 were erased. And I cannot stress again, this pissed a lot of people off, including myself. Well, the manga sort of calls this transformation the legendary Saiyan form, and is described similar to Broly's legendary Super Saiyan form, except the overflowing power would end up killing Kale. So to prevent it, they used the stolen Potara earrings that Kefla has so they can put it on her ear. The chapter ends with Kefla making her manga debut and Gohan being the one that will face her. Also on the same day, we got another Toyotaro try to draw, with Toyotaro bringing back the OG Broly, the caption on the left stating, "It's Broly." Everyone recognizes him as the #1 movie character, and I'm looking forward to him cutting loose on the new movie. The picture here is of the design from his first film. Also, did you know that a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Whis Funko Pop crashed Funimation's website? Right now, that Funko Pop is worth between $300 to $900, and still somehow worth more than my Naruto Goku card. And to kick off August, Dragon Ball FighterZ gets its own promotional manga called DESPO FighterZ. It's done by the same mangaka as the Dragon Ball Fusions manga, so of course it was exclusive to Japan, and we don't have screenshots and translations for it. Also during this time, Dragon Ball FighterZ gets its first EVO Tournament, and of course Sonic Fox is the winner. And the event actually broke some world records. Not to mention we had this iconic moment in the tournament. Moving on, we got the third chapter for Universe Mission. So the main difference here than compared to the anime is that Cumber gets distracted by Oolong, and also Ozotto appears, a Dragon Ball video game villain that hasn't appeared since 1993. And on August 4th, the talented fans at Frame 1 created a fan series called Dragon Ball Deliverance. Honestly, it's astonishing how much the quality of these fan projects have increased over time, arguably on par with some of the official stuff that we have seen. A few days later, we got new DLC for FighterZ featuring Goku and Vegeta in their base form with 2 dramatic finishes. So I've talked about the Resurrection F Super Cut before, which to remind some of y'all, it's a fan cut by Anime AJ of the Resurrection F film that splices and replaces moments from Dragon Ball Super. Now a user that goes by Omega Rockman created an English dub for it, and the last time I checked it can be viewed on archive.org. Also on the same day, we got a Dragon Ball Super Broly poster of Goten, Trunks, and Bulma. I think at this point we kinda just gave up on expecting a time skip to happen, but at least we'll know that they'll grow out of their kid looking faces in like 4 years. Okay, so sadly this is another reminder of how fragile life is, as it was learned on August 13th that Unsho Ishizuka had passed away. He was the voice actor for Mr. Satan, amongst so many other roles that you definitely have heard him in. Crazily enough, he still had voice lines that he had recorded up to 2023. And yeah, may he rest in peace. On chapter 39 of the Dragon Ball Super manga, Gohan faces Kefla. This is where we learned that Gohan won't turn Super Saiyan against Kefla because he wants to fight as a human, which sounds noble, but all it did was confuse and made readers upset. Like, this was a tournament that could result in the erasure of his own universe, friends, and family, so it sounds like he's majorly holding back. But the fact is that it was never made clear that this was Ultimate Gohan until one of the later DBS volumes would come out and clarify it. Plus the fact that the manga skipped over Gohan and Piccolo's training, and Toei making it clear in the anime by giving him a bang as an indicator that he's using that form kinda just validated that confusion. And we were also further confused when Goku was powering up in Super Saiyan Blue, and Goku describing the sensation as him wrecking his own body, while Tien and Krillin describe it as Kaioken, which perplexed a lot of us into thinking that this was Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken casually being introduced into the manga, but it isn't until the colored releases where it becomes clear. And this is where we got the infamous Ultra Instinct Master Roshi, which rattled a lot of people because, you know, Master Roshi dodging punches from Jiren. I'm not sure if now people are still off put by this, but seeing how Ultra Instinct is being handled later on in the future, I'm a little more forgiving towards it. And oh yeah, this is the same chapter where Goku uses Ultra Instinct sign for a brief moment. And for August Toyotaro tried to draw, we have an illustration of Ozotto. He states in the caption, "It's Majin Ozotto." Apparently Toriyama sensei designed him for an event, but I don't know really much about him. He's a cool looking character though, so I look forward to seeing what he will do next. So low-key kinda seems like he drew this one in promotion for the Super Dragon Ball Heroes manga, which is so odd that he doesn't appear in the anime, except for that brief moment in the video game opening. And to cap off August, we got Xenoverse 2's Extra Pack 3, where we have Super Baby 2 and Kefla. Now you may be wondering, where's the update on the first Dragon Ball Z Abridged episode of the year? Well, that's because it took over a year for episode 60, aka the last episode of the series, to come out. And because it was the finale, it was split into 3 different parts, starting with part 1, where we have Gohan turning into Super Saiyan 2 for the first time.
See, even Krillin's doing his best. Thanks for noticing! I really tried!
On September 4th, it is the release of the 7th volume of Dragon Ball Super. There's nothing new here other than some art corrections by Toriyama. Now onwards to Super Dragon Ball Heroes Episode 3, Cumber fights Vegito. He gets the upper hand until Vegito uses Super Saiyan Blue Kaioken, and then we get the transformation of Golden Great Ape Cumber. On September 7th, we got the Dragon Ball Adidas crossover. I'll be honest, these shoes do not look great, far from it, but the Dragon Ball fanboy in me really wanted them, but sadly they all sold out before I can even look at the online store page. Another item worth more than my Naruto Goku card. Now it's time for part 2 of episode 60 of Dragon Ball Z Abridged, where Goku sacrifices himself for the sake of the world.
Hey King Kai, what should I do with Cell?
And we have reached the last part of episode 60 with Gohan saving the day and everyone saying goodbye to Trunks. And for those who are new to the Dragon Ball fandom, when this episode was uploaded, there was a tease for season 4 of Dragon Ball Z Abridged, but it seems like they have cut that out. If you don't know the behind the scenes reason why they had deleted that moment, there's like a 1-minute video on my channel that explains it all. But at the time, some of us were surprised that they even wanted to do a season 4. Like, I remembered rumors that they wanted to stop making the series like a while ago. Regardless, episode 60 was the best way to end the series.
Take care, Gohan, and say hi to your little brother for me. Wait, Mom's pregnant? Bye, sons! Now, where's the off button?
Get your hands off me! Ah, my eye!
See you later, Dad.
On September 19th, this is where we got the official confirmation that the voice actors for Broly and Paragus would be Vic Mignogna and Damian Clark, which surprised a lot of us considering in the past Mignogna had expressed how much he had disliked voicing Broly, and this gave a lot of dub viewers something to look forward to of the English release. But for the sake of me not having to talk about this over and over and keep on updating it with future videos, I do feel the need to address the elephant in the room regarding the Vic Mignogna allegations. I know it's not a very fun topic, and literally when I started the series, I always questioned how I was going to tackle these events. I could just ignore it in general, but it seems hypocritical because I brought up the Torofuria situation in the 2024 video, and it would feel disingenuous to leave out a giant moment that occurred in the community at this moment in time. But unlike the Torofuria situation where it's clear on who's in the wrong, Vic Mignogna's case is polarizing to say the least, to a point where no matter what side you're on, the other will be visibly unhappy about it. In fact, this section was so long and headache inducing, so I'm just gonna put out some brief text breakdowns from what happened in 2019 to the end of 2022. I won't be mad if you wanted to skip this section of the video. I'm aware that sometimes people watch videos as a form of escapism and don't want to engage with these trigger warning topics. Beginning with January 2019, April 2019, July 1st and July 19th, from September 6th to November 27th, now from August to December of 2022. And this is the conclusion of it all, and these are my thoughts if you care about it. Okay, now it's the perfect time to move on. Now we have September's drawing by Toyotaro, and it's an illustration of Captain Ginyu, with the translation at the bottom stating, it's Captain Ginyu. Apparently he ended up in his current form after changing bodies a bunch of times, so it's fun to imagine what he might have originally looked like. We also get a glimpse of what could be Jais and Bird are flying towards him in the background, and what his previous body looked like. Also on the same day, Jump Force released a new teaser trailer featuring original characters drawn by Toriyama. These characters being Director Glover, Navigator, as well as the villains Galena and Connie. That's how you're supposed to pronounce his name, not like a WWE wrestler. And overall, it's great that they got input from Toriyama, but still massive wasted potential. We also got September's Dragon Ball Super manga chapter, where we see Toyotaro's version of Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, but we don't see the destruction form of Toppo. Instead, we see him and DESPO getting eliminated and Jiren refusing to help them. 17 explodes in this adaptation too, but there's no emotion coming from Android 18 than compared to the anime, and we get the return of Ultra Instinct Saiyan Goku. On September 27th, we got the next two DLC characters for Dragon Ball FighterZ, these being Cooler and Android 17 from Dragon Ball Super. But a lot of us were weirded out with the change of voice direction for Cooler, which I'm guessing it's so it can reflect more on the Japanese interpretation where he basically sounds like Frieza.
Perhaps you should abandon my worthless brother and work for me. You make me sick. I'll rub you out!
To further note, the day before, Arc System also added the Galactic Arena stage to the game. On the same day, it is Super Dragon Ball Heroes Episode 4, this is where Fu reverts Grade 8 Cumber back to his base form. And on the next day, we got the release of Dragon Ball FighterZ on the Switch, and the game works pretty fine so we can play on the go pretty freely. And if you pre-ordered it like I did, you would have received Dragon Ball Z Super Butoden along with it. But one thing I didn't realize when I did pre-order was that it won't be in English, so I spent extra money on a game that I've already owned on Xbox One and PC just because I thought I could get my hand on a game that I haven't played yet. I really hope that money went into the Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission production. Now to start October with Chapter 4 of Universe Mission, where we have Cooler killing his own father and Hatchiyack appears too. The next day we got the second Dragon Ball Super Broly trailer. It essentially confirmed that they're adapting Dragon Ball Minus as well as Planet Vegeta's destruction, although they did forget that Frieza's supposed to be wearing his armor here. We have a new look at King Vegeta and a slightly different origin for Broly and his dad than compared to the original movie, and oh man, we were still in awe with this new animation. Also, did you know that there was a Jump Force closed beta? Because somehow I didn't. And also, does anyone feel that the roster is way too stacked for a closed beta? Moving on, around late October time, there was a new Super Dragon Ball Heroes video game opening where they basically tried to do the movie characters with Yamamoto's art style, and most of us joked about how cursed Broly looked. Like, did they not get the memo that he's not supposed to have the original Broly's eyes? And speaking of goofy ass creations, Mastar Media created their own bootleg Broly movie, and it was memed a lot just for this one scene alone.
Don't shoot! Let them leave peacefully! If you kill them, I'll never forgive you!
Would you just shut the f up already?
Now we're on chapter 41 of the manga. Goku has mastered his Ultra Instinct, so it becomes a contest of whether his form will hold up against Jiren's stamina. To be blunt, it made me realize how much I kinda like the manga's interpretation of Ultra Instinct, because it feels like it has more weight and logic to it. Also in this chapter we learned that Jiren's master, his name is Gichin, you know, like kitchen. You also see that Goku and Vegeta fight together, like in their training with Whis, which is a kind of cool build up to that moment. Next up is another drawing by Toyotaro with this illustration of Bardock. He states, "It's Son Goku's father, Bardock. He will be in the movie in December too. I'm really looking forward to it." I remember the response to this being that it felt like forced propaganda to make minus Bardock to look cool. The consensus being that they robbed him of his badassery, just for him to replicate the Superman origin story. Plus a lot of people, including myself, really liked the original Bardock special theme, of, you know, bad versus evil. Fortunately, Dragon Ball Super will later make him cool again. So around this time, we finally get to see Shallot turn Super Saiyan for the first time. And man, the music that plays and Kaki's scream just makes it so awesome. Now it's Super Dragon Ball Heroes Episode 5, we have the return of Zeno Goku along with Vegeta, Cumber turns into Super Saiyan 3, and we have Goku and Vegeta fusing into Vegito, and they beat Cumber in a beam struggle but they end up defusing. On November 1st, there was a special OVA that aired in this Tokyo Skytree called Dragon Ball Super Broly Skytree Super. They had screens all around the area and they had subtitles too, which is kind of unusual for them to usually do, but maybe they're trying to be tourist friendly. It's essentially about Frieza coming to Earth and using the Dragon Balls, so he can learn the secret of the Saiyans, and essentially just plays an AMV until Goku arrives. They both transform and their battle's left with a cliffhanger. On November 6th, we had the unfortunate news that Tetsuo Goto passed away at the age of 68. A lot of us will recognize him as the voice of Guasu, and just like so many voice actors we have seen and gone, he also had a prolific voice acting career, and as far as I'm aware, his last role will be in 2019 as King Cerberus in Devil May Cry 5. And yeah, may he rest in peace. On November 7th, we got the final trailer for Dragon Ball Super Broly, and it was just teasing us with a bunch of action set pieces. Also, we're getting Super Saiyan God Vegeta here, something that the anime had never done. It will contain the new song, Blizzard by Daichi Miura. The trailer didn't showcase a lot of other stuff other than some teases of new characters, but that's perfectly fine because we're already hyped enough as it is, and we would like everything to be a surprise. Remember that. And on November 14th, Dragon Ball Super Broly gets its world premiere in Japan, so now all you have to do is avoid spoilers as best as we can. The next day, that time I got reincarnated as Yamcha got a physical release in English, and for some reason the blurb in the back is in Comic Sans. I still don't understand the creative reasons behind this, nor do I understand why Super Dragon Ball Heroes hasn't been released here. Now you have Dragon Ball Super Manga Chapter 42, where we see Goku and Frieza eliminate Jiren, and we learn that Android 17 was hiding in the rubble the whole time, so he wins the tournament for Universe 7. But he mentions that the reason why the self-destruct didn't work is because Krillin wished away the bomb inside him, and this made readers and myself confused because you don't necessarily need the bomb to self-destruct, considering he is a cyborg, not a full-blown android like 16. Honestly, I think a lot of us were just glad this arc was over, but in hindsight, it looks like Toyotaro kinda had to rush his arc, considering the next part of this chapter has a visible time skip away from the Broly film, and I can kinda see it as a sort of promotional tie-in with the movie, considering it's gonna hit theaters in Japan soon. So now, for the first time since 2016, the manga is ahead of the anime, kicking off with Goku implied to have returned from planet Vampa. Someone has been kidnapping Buu, which we later see is the Galactic Patrol. Goku Vegeta gets stunned by one of their agents, who will play a crucial role in the story later. We have learned that the reason why they're taking Buu is because someone powerful had escaped their prison, and Buu holds the same power that the previous Supreme Kai has, and this is the beginning of the Galactic Patrol prison arc, or what we would later call the Moro arc. Of course, a new manga chapter means a new drawing by Toyotaro, this month illustrating Paragus from the Broly movie. Here he states, "It's Paragus. The Broly movie will be opening at last. It's a top for fun. By all means, please see it at the theater." On November 22nd, Goku gets his first balloon at the Macy's Thanksgiving Parade, which just goes to show how popular the brand is in the West, and maybe it would be a great idea to have a simul release of Dragon Ball Super Broly at the same time as Japan, along with other popular anime. Are you getting the idea, Japan? Death Battle is back with Master Roshi versus Jiraiya from Naruto, which is basically the battle between the two perverted masters, but it should be obvious that Master Roshi would win. On November 29th, the worst thing basically happened when it came to marketing the new Dragon Ball Super movie.
We are Gogeta.
Which I cannot stress, this was the dumbest marketing decision that they ever done. This is like if Marvel was promoting Endgame, and a month before the movie was released, they released another trailer and it contains the portal scene. You asked for this. It isn't even Bandai Namco's fault this time, but it's pretty cool that we got to see him again, in his base form no less. Now it's the final month of the year, and let's start things off with the book fair at Kinokuniya in Japan, in promotion for the new Dragon Ball Super Broly film. Starting from the 1st of this month to the 20th, there was a mini exhibit of the manga's art and a shop of exclusive items for sale. Anyone who received the January issue of Psycho Jump would get a Broly sticker, and those who would buy any Dragon Ball comic or the January V Jump issue will receive a poster. But yeah, this was only in the Shinjuku branch, and around this time I was in Dubai, and I used to go to Kinokuniya there a lot, so you can say that I was in the right place at the right time, but in the wrong country. But it's where I get my Japanese Dragon Ball comics from. Now with Chapter 5 of Super Dragon Ball Heroes Universe Mission, there's Hatchiyack versus Ozotto, which is, the battle between the two video game characters. Goku's using Ultra Instinct for the first time since the tournament, and we have classic Oolong saving the day by taking a wish away from Ozotto. On December 3rd, Jaden Smith released a music video called Goku. I wouldn't make fun of the lyrics to be honest, but I recently heard about his charity, so I'm just gonna let him off this time. Keep up the good work, Jaden. Just lay off the Neo Yokio stuff. The next day we have Volume 8 of Dragon Ball Super, which of course comes with more corrections from Toriyama. Now fast forward to 9 days later, as it is the LA premiere of the English dub of Dragon Ball Super Broly, and my brain is reliving the frustration of having to wait another month or so for it to be released everywhere else. Like, I'm aware that there would be some competition if they were to release it in December 2018, but this was the prime time for movies to hit in theaters. Aquaman came out that month and it made $1 billion, and what's worse is that the next day is the theatrical release of this movie in Japan, and all this did was remind me of that I had to watch a cam copy of this film, and I wouldn't be surprised if so many have done it as well. And I'm still seeing anime studios making the same mistake, like with the new Demon Slayer film that was already out in Japan like a couple months ago, being released later for everywhere else, which is so weird because cinema culture isn't the same as it was 6 years ago. People have become way too comfortable watching and waiting for movies to be available for streaming, so I wouldn't be surprised if people pirated that new Demon Slayer film. Also, did you know that there was a novelization for Dragon Ball Super Broly? Apparently it covers the long war between King Cobra Cold's army and the Saiyans, but I wouldn't know much about it because it's not released in English. Also, there's these rock paper scissors TV promos for the film, where viewers play rock paper scissors against Goku, Vegeta, Frieza, Bulma, or even Gogeta. And before he was in the thick of it, KSI and Randolph made a music video called Beerus. I would argue this is one of the songs that you can actually properly listen to. This was made when KSI was going through this phase of making songs based off of mythological gods. I recall he dyed his hair purple for this video, but the scene where he dunks himself in milk caused his hair to lighten up. But I also remember this was when he was beefing with his brother.
I honestly can't stand you. It's like your brain doesn't f***ing work. You idiot. You're honestly an idiot. I don't know what's wrong with you. But your ego is pissing me off.
The next day, there was these Dragon Ball Super Broly ice creams at J World. I would say that this design is up there with the KFC French fries. And now we got the last episode of the Dragon Ball Super Dub with episode 91 of the series in the Universe 7 recruitment arc. On December 19th, we got Extra Pack 4 for Xenoverse 2. This would include Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan Gogeta, and Dragon Ball Super's Broly. But what's interesting was that when you select Broly, he would say this.
Hear me. You go near my father, you die.
So for most of us, this was our first time learning that this version of Broly cares for his father. And now we're on chapter 43 of the manga, where we see a flashback of the Kais finding a mysterious person who is absorbing planets. The Kais beat him and send him to prison, and then we have it cut back to the present, where Vegeta is suspicious of Agent Miris. And for those who didn't get to see the Broly film, this is where we learned that his full title is Prince Vegeta IV. Goku and Vegeta joined the Galactic Patrol, and they stop a heist, which honestly reminded me of the space heist from the Han Solo film. Goku does the spaceship window stare like in the Broly film. And then we have Vegeta confronting Ancient Miris about his true strength because of how well he performed during that mission for someone in the Galactic Patrol. And the chapter ends with Goku trying to sense for Moro while he does an ominous stare back at him. And man, I think we were just excited to see what they were cooking up with here. Meanwhile, Super Dragon Ball Heroes episode 6, we see Fu and Cooler escape the prison planet because it was about to be destroyed. Cumber comes back up for another round, but just like in the manga, Goku turns Ultra Instinct and beats him, which puts into perspective how strong that form is compared with the fusion forms. We did see Zamasu return along with the other characters, and Goku is left stranded on the destroyed prison planet. Speaking of Super Dragon Ball Heroes, it was announced that Super Dragon Ball Heroes World Mission will be released on the Switch and on PC. The game will feature a unique story that's within that Xenoverse or Super Dragon Ball Heroes storyline, and it will revolve around a character that was designed by Toyotaro. His name is Celis, and he was the first ever Time Patroller, and we'll learn more about it when it's released on April 5th, 2019. As we're close to the end of the year, Toonami has created another Dragon Ball Super Marathon, which is basically from the beginning of the Tournament Power Arc and up to where they prepare for the tournament. And now for the last moment that I can find for 2018. Team 4-Star has put out an epilogue for episode 60 of Dragon Ball Z Abridged, with Trunks beating the androids and killing Cell.
Let me finish! Get out of my f***ing timeline!
And that is literally everything that I can find for Dragon Ball in 2018. This took me about 11 days to make. If I had made Dragon Ball in 2018 one whole part, it would have exceeded 45 minutes probably. Further meaning that it would be my longest video in the channel, but also would have been filled with a lot of video editing errors, which I've already talked about in the ending of part 1. As for Dragon Ball in 2019, I still need to do the outlines and stuff for that. So while I'm sorting that out, I should probably make those other videos that I wanted to make. So if you like this video and want to see what I'm making next, then make sure to like the video, subscribe, and hit the notification bell button because YouTube's recommendation has been dog water lately. Not with just my channel, but other people who have over 1 million subscribers. And by any chance, if you're watching this on your mobile device, there might be a hype button where the donation and download link is. If it's there for you, press it because it's basically YouTube's version of a repost button. And that is it. Thanks for watching and see ya next time.